Well, Maestro, your favorite from last year was Stewart Copeland's appearance here.
Yeah.
And we get a reprise because you invited him to come back.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a no-brainer. First of all, I mean, we got really friendly, and you know, he brings something to the orchestra. He is a very well-trained classical musician who was also one of the biggest and most influential rock musicians by being the founder and the drummer of the band Police, and setting a landmark there. But he makes really an orchestra go rock and roll without making it a backdrop, you know, to a rock band, but making the orchestra being the essential rock band. So we had last year, which was more ethereal theme, a voyage through the percussion world with like 72 different instruments on stage here from all over the world. This time, Stewart Copeland is actually going to perform with the symphony. So if you want to, we didn't bring Sting back, but Stewart will be here and performing his trapset concerto, A Tyrant's Crash.
Is this something new that he has composed, or is
it's
a new piece presented elsewhere?
It was just premiered a couple of months ago in Pittsburgh, and it's going around now. And we I don't know if we are probably the third, fourth orchestra doing it. Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting, exhilarating, exciting piece, and I think you're going to interview Stewart as well to get a little bit of his insight and his personal thoughts about it. But I'm just really looking forward. You're going to experience the orchestra in a very different.
Have you heard it?
No, I haven't heard it. I have the score. I haven't heard it. I have the score. I kind of pretend I know the piece, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm very, very much looking forward to this.
And what about the first piece, the Schmidt piece,
the
Notre Dame?
The Florent Schmidt is Notre Dame was an opera by Florent Schmidt, wonderful opera, and everybody will recognize the intermezzo from Notre Dame. It's one of these pieces where you don't know who the composer is, but when it's played, all of a sudden, oh yes, I know that very well. It's magnificent. Tune you're going to recognize. Notre Dame is just a connection, I think, also with the piece that ends the program with the Saint-Saëns Organ Symphony, of course, written for that wonderful cathedral in Paris, and the organ there. So it's pays a reference to France and that location at the organ, and makes the connection to Saint-Saëns Organ Symphony.
Everybody has to wait till the third movement. Don't leave early. Third or fourth movement when the organ comes in with the
Well, the organ comes in before. The organ comes in before. The organ part is not like the most dominating thing.
No.
It's also not the most virtuosic organ part, but it's adding a color. But what's also interesting is we have piano four hands, which usually you don't hear in a symphony.
Okay.
And the piano part is also quite prominent. And so there is a lot of coloring in it that changes the orchestral texture dramatically from what we are used to. The organ and the piano, I think, are the most significant ones. Yeah, truly Saint-Saëns' most important symphony and symphonic work, a true masterpiece of orchestral virtuosity and showcasing every single group in the orchestra in a fantastic way. I mean, the French Romantic era without Saint-Saëns would not really exist, and yet it has always a little bit the touch of passé, you know, of old-fashioned, you know, and it got forgotten a little bit, but Saint-Saëns was not at all old-fashioned or passé. He just didn't follow a certain trend where it was heading and stayed, you know, conservative to his beliefs. But I think in the way he wrote, he was extremely radical. And the organ symphony, also that you have this continuity. You know, it's four movements, but, you know, especially first and second and third and fourth basically are gelled together. So I think this is really one of the masterpieces of symphonic writing in the 19th century. There's no question about it.
And the organists, the French school of organ composers, changed music from my and Saint-Saëns was just one. Another of these great composers.
I mean, I mean, Vierne, you go through it. Yeah, exactly. Especially Vierne. The French organs, if you go to France, are very, very different. The sound is very different from what we know from Germany, or or then the big English and British organs. So you will, and that reflects a little bit in also how the woodwinds sound in France. Very different. It's a very different transparency in it, and esoteric. And you see it in the churches. Also in France, I think the most important factor in French churches is the light. You go to Reims, the Cathedral of Reims, or Amiens, with these big Gothic cathedrals with these big stained glass windows, with these multifaceted colors, but a lot of light, actually. A lot of light. You go to Italian churches, it's very dark. They're very dark. You know, I mean, even St. Peter is, for the size of the church, that is one of the brightest. But Santa Maria Maggiore, one of the big churches in Rome, the darkness is dominant, and here the light is the main factor of architecture. And you see that, I think, in a composition like Saint-Saëns Organ Symphony.
Well, we're looking forward to it, November the 4th and 5th, here in the HEB Performance Hall, the Tobin Center. Thank you, Maestro.
Thank you.